X,
Cool.
a personal channel, and story channel as well.
Sounds good.
Are you ready for? Is it good? Yeah, we can start this interview. So people couldn't see, but I'm with Red. Red is founder of IP.world, and thank you for being here. And we're at ETH Denver venue, story booth. So great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go.
It's great. It's been pretty chaotic, just balancing work and, meeting people, but I love the energy and it's great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We just talked a little bit about Red's background, but it wasn't recorded on camera. So we're going to start over with introducing yourself and what you did before you start building IP.world.
Cool. Yeah. I actually had my foray into crypto pretty early, around, 2014, 2015 is when I started kind of tapping into the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. I think a lot of OGs kind of started that way. It wasn't until around like 2017 that I started actually working in this space. So that's when I first discovered the Chainlink white paper. And at the time, I thought that was the most revolutionary tech that I saw, because it's a great way of like bridging real worlds into the blockchain. And so back then I actually worked at a company called Yelp, the food review platform.
Oh, I know Yelp.
Yeah. I'm a huge foodie too. That's kind of why I was there. But I tried to convince them to basically build something like Chainlink for like decentralized food reviews. Of course, at the time they thought I was pretty crazy. And so they said like, absolutely not. And so that's kind of when I started building a bit on the side. After that, worked at Google for around like 4 years doing distributed systems. And during this whole process, we had a few cycles, traded a bunch, made a bunch of money. Also, I have a huge gambling issue, so lost a bunch of money. And then finally, the trenches. I've been there like my whole life. But, more recently, before, learning about story and even having a little stint there, I did my own startup. It was in like the fashion space. So we actually made chips that connected brands to their own customized experiences. That was more like real world kind of fashion and culture, especially streetwear. And then, I was at Story a bit doing some dev work, some DevRel, some degen evangelization. But most recently, I've finally been able to find, what really excites me. And what I find the most passionate about, which is really meme coin trading and building a platform for trading meme coins, in this case, backed by IP. And so like throughout this whole experience, I've met a lot of cool people in the space. I've joined a lot of alpha groups. I've been in the pump fund trenches for like way too long. Before that, the whole 2017 ICO scam season, and then the whole DeFi summer season, we've been there. We've made a lot of money. We've lost a lot of money. But what I learned is like, whether I win or lose, this stuff has always been like extremely exciting. Like I like that roller coaster of emotions and the adrenaline. But I also really just like kind of front running culture. And like the most recent cycle we've had, we're in a bit of a local bottom. But it's really about meme coins, this cycle. Yeah. And it's super interesting to me how we're kind of getting to this world where people like to tokenize cultural virality. Yes. And I really think we're going more and more into that space where culture is going to become more important than utility in a sort of way. It's really about like these tokenized cults and religions. And I really kind of want to be a part of that and bringing retail into that space and using meme coins as almost like a wedge to Web3 that NFTs, in my opinion, have always kind of failed to do. But yeah, that's a bit about my background. And, here we are now building IP.world.
Wow. That's very interesting that you were with the Story team. You're on the Story team. And now you're a founder, like building in the ecosystem. That's actually a lot of to say that you really like this team, right? You're not like only work with them, you also like building and still working with them now. So what is that? Do you mind to share a story of you and Story?
Yeah, I think this stuff, they probably don't want me to share too much about, but, I had a brief stint working, some protocol development stuff. And I, established a good relationship with some of the founders. And I think we all agreed. I've always been probably the most degenerate in the team, and that's kind of how we shifted focus to me leading my entrepreneurial dreams to build this out.
And they're very supportive on that.
Yeah, they've been really supportive, which is I'm very grateful for all of that.
Fantastic. Well, we've talked a little about yourself, and maybe a lot of people don't know what exactly IP.world is.
Mhm.
So could you share a little bit more about the IP.world for people who haven't really tried it?
Yeah, so if you're a crypto native, you're probably pretty familiar with Pump.fun. If you're not, Pump is like a meme coin platform. That's been the most popular app. I think it's the first one to hit $100 million in revenue in such a short time period, which is I think almost less than a year. Um, but that's essentially, in my opinion, the biggest example of real PMF crypto has provided. I mean, mostly everything is more about financialization, but to me, this is the most pure form of cultural financialization. And so Pump has been great, love the products. Most people are just degenning there 24/7, setting up alpha groups. For a lot of people, it's their life. But I do think, these models of token distribution have some issues with them. The biggest one, in my opinion, which is most relevant to IP and story, is this tension between these IP owners and these different meme coin communities. So basically, anytime you launch a token, usually it's based off of a real world IP or idea, for example. Peanut, it was based on, the cultural. Exactly. It was based on the whole issue with, the peanut, the squirrel, and him being raided by a bunch of feds and the peanut dying, and that ended up being the first token to hit almost $1 billion on Binance in such a short time period. But one issue with Peanut was the actual owner did not even get a cut of the actual token, and so he got really agitated by this, and he actually threatened to sue all of these exchanges for even listing Peanut. On top of that, he launched his own derivative token, which almost diluted the value of the original community token. And so it's an example of how this lack of alignment between IP owners and the token communities actually causes the overall price to drop, and it creates this misalignment that isn't really healthy for community growth. Chill Guy was another example. The owner, he was super happy with letting his memes be used by Xbox for marketing purposes, but he wasn't okay with these anonymous degens donating him tokens for free. And so basically, everyone kind of has a price. They want their allocation, but also it's kind of about onboarding them and teaching them about crypto, because most of these IP, owners, they don't know anything about crypto. They think it's a scam. But oftentimes, like, you'll have this lack of alignment that causes this misalignment between communities and IP owners. Another great example, Shark Cat. They had a recent lawsuit. And in the lawsuit details, they actually specified that they didn't want to let them leverage their likeness unless they got like 10% of allocation. And so all these examples, you see that IP owners can't actually be protagonists of these meme coin stories when they're really the originators of this culture and the community. And so where IP.world comes in is we're trying to bridge both these actors together and create a more sustainable ecosystem. And so the way we do that is we kind of revamp the whole incentive design. In IP.world, every token that you launch can be linkable with an IP. And the idea is when you launch it, we pre-allocate 3% of the supply to the IP owner for them to claim at a future time point. And on top of that, 100% of the meme coin LP fees are actually given to them. And so over time, they don't just get 3%, they can get up to 10% depending on the trading volume. But that's just kind of the start. That's like the more DeFi aspect of all of this. On top of this, there's like a social fee aspect where imagine, let's say Kanye, which has been getting a lot of traction recently. Everyone wants him to launch a token.
Yes.
Imagine a world where instead of him creating a token that will likely, dump and use the community's exit liquidity. Imagine a world where he can CTO all of the existing Kanye fan tokens and become the top holder and the top evangelizer. And so on top of these like DeFi incentives, we have this whole interface that requires no, custodial or non-custodial wallet based workflows where they can basically sign in to prove that they're the IP owner, either using Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, and essentially have access to all these funds and be able to donate to charities, burn the tokens allocated to them as a way of proving that they endorse these communities, as well as liking these tokens and doing a whole lot more. And so all of this is kind of part of our future roadmap. A lot of this is live, but that's kind of like the vision we're trying to paint. And I guess like one last note on that is our dream is to actually take this and turn it into a consumer social app that will become the next form of UGC. So what I mean by that is right now, a lot of brands, when they do marketing, UGC has become very popular. They'll basically ask, famous influencers if they can use their videos to do promotions. I think, as crazy as this sounds, I think there's a world where we can leverage meme coins as a way of marketing for different brands, celebrities, or influencers. And that's kind of like the much longer term vision I see for this product.
That's actually making perfect sense. When we see a meme coin launch, like we see 100 of them, we don't really know. Like if you're newbies, you wouldn't know which one is the real one. Like people who have experience, you check on Twitter or X, or you check on like the volume, trade volume, right? Like a lot of people, they don't know, they buy the wrong token. But with this IP verified, then you wouldn't see those like random scammers token anymore, right?
Right.
It's also for like from the user perspective, it's for their safety and the security.
Yeah.
That's actually a very clear and a very smart way. I like how you give like story examples of explaining what you're building, which is better than on top of what like Pop.Fun had. Well, this is actually very great. You have been explaining very well, but with having this professional conversation, how have been like stories supporting you with building that? Like, not only just, I know you have a great relationship with them, but as part of like ecosystem.
Yeah, no, Story's been great. I think, the biggest help has been just helping us tap into the Story community. I will say our strategy is a bit different from other apps because we're sort of more focused on degens in the short term. And, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love, the Story community, the Discord, all the different mushy memes, the Ippy memes. But I will say the typical degen trader is a bit more crazy. I would use words that I probably shouldn't use in this interview, but you can probably imply what I want to say. A bit more schizophrenic, a bit more crazy, a bit more locked into the trenches and the darker side of humor. And so a part of our strategy is like, how do we get those users on board? And so Story, they've been fantastic in helping us, reach out to the existing Story ecosystem. But on top of that, now we're trying to shift focus and seeing how we can kind of tap into, other sides of the market. And so a lot of this is like bringing maybe traders from other communities in and chains in to just get a taste of what it could be like to trade on Story. And so, they've been useful in helping guide us to reach out to those folks and get those people to taste what it's like on IP.world.
Yeah, I think Anson just posted on X yesterday on like how to onboard to like Story or other chains, and he's
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually missed that.
Shoot him a DM.
Oh, that would be crazy.
Yeah. Well, we have enough technical questions, but here's a fun question for you. It's a little bit spicy.
Amazing.
So in this crypto world, what are the fuck of Mary? You probably already know what I'm gonna ask. Fuck, Mary, kill. For you.
Like projects or?
It could be a person. It could be a project. It could be a token. It could be anything.
Interesting.
You can start with a nice one of Mary. Give something I'm not expecting.
This is a really good question. I really like it actually. Let me think. All right, I'll give you a really spicy take. I'll give you a really spicy take. Mary. I have two of them. I'm just trying to figure out Mary. Who do I marry?
Two. Okay, now you have.
All right, I'm gonna do big CT influencers. I mean, it's kind of weird because it's fuck, Mary, kill, but I think people get the vibe. Okay, so I'll start with what's the best one to start with? Mary. I'll marry SY. He's an
Oh.
absolute visionary. I really think like, you know, story's been amazing, but really I believe he's like the driving force for all of this. I mean, he really has an impeccable vision and a really different way of kind of like, you know, communicating and talking with people, painting that vision. I don't think there's a world where any of this could have been done without him. So
Wow.
I'll marry him.
Well, to add,
Yeah.
SY is also founder of Story.
Oh yes, yes. Right.
So, yeah.
And then
Most people know Jason.
yeah. Fuck. I mean, it's such a weird ass question, but I'll choose Michi. He's basically, I think he's probably the best cult-like community leader for the trenches. He's been doing a really great job of like promoting like what the real ethos of the trenches means. There's a lot of people who kind of LARP as if they care about trading meme coins, but all they do is promote already established big projects. Whereas he is not scared to, you know, promote the latest like 10, 20K market cap that gets launched. And, you know, I think he's been doing a really good job. He gets a lot of hate, but I think he's a legend for it. So I'll choose him. And here's the spicy take. This is very spicy, and this will probably get me a lot of hate. I would kill Murad. I don't think he's the best leader for the meme coin ecosystem. Don't get me wrong. His presentation that he did at, you know, Token 2049, absolutely amazing. But more recently, he's just promoting very old coins from back in the day that have already hit that safety net that makes them easy to kind of promo. And he sort of just always recycles, you know, the same promotions of how, oh, February is going to be the next bull run. March is going to be the next bull run. He's literally just saying the same positive stuff all the time. He doesn't really keep it real.
Safe play.
It's very safe play. And if you're talking meme coins, you don't want someone who's safe as a leader. I think it's kind of ridiculous how we've kind of all rallied around him. And again, this isn't attacking him as a person. It's just more attacking the community, kind of making him the makeshift leader.
Or suggestions that you gave him.
Exactly. So, you know, spicy take, but that's my answer.
Well, that's very spicy.
Yes.
Don't get too much hate on this.
No worry. Just chatting.
Yeah. It's been a wonderful conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And we're really looking forward to see what you're building. But for people who are 100% new, how could they get on it? Is that IP.world?
Yeah, I mean, we're already, our beta is live. You can just go on IP.world and start trading your favorite meme coins. And, you know, don't be scared to like launch your own either.
Awesome. Let's do that. I'm super looking forward for the official mainnet.
Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, you too.
Okay.